Hi guys, it's Graham from Airsoft Nation, and as you'll see, there's nothing on the green screen tonight because I've got something far more important to discuss. We've got Matt Furey-King on for the show from UKAPU, the player union, to discuss the PCA and how it's literally just over a week away. So Matt, if you would be so kind as to take over here.
Sure thing. Hi Graham, thanks very much for having me on the show, and hi to all your viewers. So I'm going to start from the very start, really, and just there's still a lot of people that don't know about the PCB, and in fact, there's a lot of people that don't know about UKAPU as well. So UKAPU is UK Airsoft Players Union. We're a representative body for airsoft players that want to join our association, and you sort of pay us a donation or join up for membership, and then we basically go to the government and the police and anyone else that needs player representation to sort of talk about your issues and stand up for your perspective on things. So what's the big story's been for the last, well, it's getting on towards 2 years now, is the Police and Crime Act, as it is now. This is it's a big piece of legislation, and one part of it is very, very important for airsoft, and that is the setting of a threshold for lethality. What that means is basically non-lethal is a non-lethal barreled weapon, and that's not a firearm, and lethal is a firearm. And the lethal threshold has been set at 1 joule, so anything above 1 joule comes under the Firearms Act, anything below 1 joule doesn't. So, like stuff like Nerf guns and stuff, they're less than joule, so they're not in the Firearms Act, makes perfect sense. Whereas air rifles and stuff, they are. UKAPU and UKARA have lobbied quite heavily for the government to include an exception for airsoft, because basically our pellets are designed to be fired at people, so they're not as lethal as like an airgun pellet or something. So they've granted airsoft an exception, which is 1.3 joules for fully auto airsoft guns, and 2.5 joules for other airsoft guns, which is like bolt action, semis, pistols, that kind of thing. And that means that for semi-automatic and single shot stuff, that means under 2.5 joules, that is an airsoft gun.
Yep.
And over 2.5 joules, that is an air rifle. So that seems quite sensible. And the big issue really comes in with fully automatics, because under 1.3 joules, an airsoft gun, that's great. That's the limits we usually use them at, and it's a lot better than 1 joule. So 1.3 joule and below is an airsoft gun, that's cool. But above 1.3 joule, it is a Section 5 prohibited firearm.
Wow.
So, yeah, so if you've got an AG running at 1.4 joules, then that is a Section 5 prohibited firearm. And the mandatory sentence for possessing one of those is 5 years. So that's the mandatory sentence. So that's not even the maximum sentence. Could be even worse than that. So it's really serious.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that most people don't know joules, and it's a discussion that needs to be had later down the line.
True enough.
If we were doing 0.2 grams, and obviously you should really check your guns on joules. If 0.2s, what are we looking at for AEGs and bolt actions here?
So the full automatic limit for if you're firing a 0.2 gram BB 2.0, that is about 370. Was it 378 FPS, I believe?
Okay, give or take.
Yeah. So basically, a 0.20 gram BB traveling at 378 FPS has 1.3 joules of energy. Yeah, and for the bolt actions and semi-autos and that 1.3 joules, that on a 0.20 gram, that equivalent of about 540 FPS.
Yeah, that's 2.5 joules is 520 FPS, isn't it?
That's quite right. Yeah.
And if that's the case, if you've got a DMR, for example, where do you stand there? 400 FPS some sites, 450 on some sites. Where do we stand?
As far as the law is concerned, they are not fully automatic, so they are subject to the 2.5 joule limit. So legally, a DMR needs to be under 540 FPS on a 0.2.
So as long as it's locked on semi, right?
Yeah, that's right. This is where things start getting difficult because the crux of it is that the law's been written as if an airsoft gun is set at that power, and it's like a fixed quantity gun. They're imagining that, okay, semi-auto guns fire at this power, and they are semi-auto guns, and so they're going to sit in this category. But they don't. Airsoft guns, as you know, they basically plonk the power limit, the 1.3 joule power limit, right in the middle of where airsoft guns operate. Yeah, so they're, and you can have an AEG, you can semi-lock it, you can change just the tappet plate, and it becomes fully automatic, or software lock can be done and undone easily enough. And of course, an AEG, just spring changes, or even like something like changing the hop unit could take it from being 1.2 joules up to 1.4 joules, or maybe you leave it stored in your cupboard and something, a seal sits in nicely or goes loose, and you can just jump between categories, and it's the law doesn't really make sense when you look at things from that perspective.
No, and this includes gas, right? So I mean, a hot day, and you could be in trouble. That's
quite right. Yeah.
Wow.
So the problem is if anyone, and eventually this will happen to someone, they'll be on their way to an airsoft game, and maybe they'll have a rear ender in their car, and the boot pops open, somebody sees the airsoft gun, police confiscate it, take it for testing, and the lab is going to test to see what it's capable of, because that's what the law says. It says if an airsoft gun is capable of then it's this category. If it's capable of that, it's in this category. So say for like a gas gun, well, the lab's going to take it. They're going to put 0.45 gram BBs in it. They're going to stick black gas in it. They're going to turn the temperature up in the room quite possibly. And yeah, I mean, no fully auto gas gun is going to come out under 1.3 joules really. And HPAs are even worse, because you just got to turn the regulator right up.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter that you use it at under 1.3 joules. Yeah.
Do we know, internal regulators versus external? Do we know what they're doing in that? Or is that so grey that we don't know quite what happens? Because obviously things like Tipman, it's inside, but things like Polar Star, it's outside. And are they going to test with your reg, or we don't know? Or
That's right. So initially, when they first asked us to come down to the Home Office in about this time last year, and we've been telling them this, well, for the last 5 years, really. And this is when we really nailed it down. We said, right, okay, if you're absolutely convinced this is when you're going to set the limits, then you have to basically put a lot of other quantifications in there, which tell us exactly how we're going to gauge what category our guns are sat in, and how we're going to work out ways to fix them into categories. For example, locking off HPA regulators, and we'll post the minutes up. And in fact, the minutes are on the UKAPU website. Think about it, from that meeting, where they basically said, "Yep, we understand your concerns, and we're going to address them as the bill progresses." But the bill's gone through. It's already gone through, and it is. It's now an act. So, and the commencement orders have come out. So it actually. Well, basically, commencement orders mean that the police is going to start enforcing it on the 2nd of May. So that's like weeks away. And they said, yeah, we understand your concerns, and we're going to look at them. And they haven't. They've just stuck their fingers in their ears, quite frankly. They've stopped talking to us, and they have an obligation to consult with us. And it's a nightmare for airsoft players, because the lack of quantifications don't hurt them in the least. It just leaves us in an impossible position where a lot of us might own Section 5 firearms.
Yeah, and you don't want to go out on site with those. You don't want to really. I mean, it's bad enough having them in the house if all it takes is an angry neighbour to report you. I mean, we've had that before in the stories. So, so what can we do? Where do we stand?
Okay, well, there is only really one thing we can do at the moment. We've really tried every avenue. We've talked to the police and the Police Chief Council and Border Agency, Crime Prosecution Service, just see if any of these people are interested in getting the any sort of information out of the Home Office, and basically it's gone nowhere. So we need to go back to the kind of the base of democracy, which is your elected representatives. So if you're an airsoft player, and especially if you're an airsoft shop, I think this is something really, very important to you. We need you to write into your MP and ask them to ask the government why these quantifications and these clarifications haven't come out. So we're setting up a campaign right now. It's dreadful timing because we were putting it all together. We said, right, okay, we have to do this. We have to make a big fuss. We have to get people to utilise their representatives. And then what happened this week?
Election.
Yeah. Obviously, MPs. We're saying, MPs have got to basically fight for their jobs again, and we're saying, there's a little problem with airsoft. Can you have a look at that? And this is really not ideal. But
not high.
No, potentially they might be more interested in helping us out because they're looking for votes right now, or maybe they'll be too busy to look at it. Anyway, the long short of it is we know it sucks. We got to try. Yeah, exactly. We got to try. Yeah. Do you want me to talk about some of the exact problems with the clarifications that we have been taking?
Yeah, absolutely. We need to give everything we can, to be fair, so absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So all this information is going to be on the UKAPU page we're going to set up.
Okay.
And it'll have all the information you need to help you write a letter and understand exactly what's going on.
Right in the comments, guys. That will be posted right below there, if not along the bottom of the stream, just for anyone who's watching there, because, perfect.
Great. So there's also a Lobbying for UK Airsoft group, and there's a lot of very knowledgeable people on that group. So just search for that on Facebook, Lobbying for UK Airsoft, and I'll send you in the link.
Yeah.
And when you write your letter, run it by those people, and they'll definitely be able to help you out. And if you're still confused, which it doesn't surprise me, because if you're still confused, then you can ask them guys questions, and you can always ping the UKAPU page as well. If this thing does confuse you, then I really don't blame you, because this has gotten so complicated that it's basically confused the Home Office. And the people who wrote the law, they've basically made the thing complicated. Well, they've made the thing so simple that it's caused some complications that they don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
So
backed into a corner now.
yeah. So we've got but we need we need them to answer the questions that we're asking. So really, the issues break down to I'd say the main issue is probably these four things really. When you're importing an airsoft gun, as most of you know of importing an airsoft gun, there's just no guarantee that it's going to come in UK site power. Yeah, I'm sure you've imported.
Oh man, yeah, I mean, you'd literally importing a firearm technically in some of these sites.
That's right. Yeah. So if you order from a site in Asia or Eastern Europe, they haven't chronoed it properly, or maybe their chrono isn't very accurate, and it comes in at over 1.3 joules, then that's you will be importing a Section 5 firearm, and you could end up in jail for 5 years. Now, that's kind of scary if you're importing individual AGs, but imagine you're a so it was importing a box of 200, 400 clone cheap AEGs, I mean, they can wildly vary on power, so... Yeah. If one of the guns in that box is over 1.3 joules, then, well, they could have committed a very serious firearms offence. So,
and if 10 of them are, you're now dealing in firearms.
Yeah, right. So it's only sensible, really. We've said that we just need a bit of leeway on importing.
Yeah.
Maybe even just for the shops, but we need some leeway where you won't get charged for importing a Section 5 firearm, and you're just given the opportunity to downgrade it before you move it on or before you use it, which doesn't seem like a lot to ask. Gas blowback and HPA guns, as we talked about earlier on, they are not of fixed power. They are capable of more than 1.3 joules, and if we have to mechanically limit them, we want to know what is acceptable.
Yeah.
So if, say, for an HPA gun, is mechanically limiting the regulator okay? I mean, it would seem sensible if the gun and the regulator are considered one unit as a gun themselves, then that would be perfect, because you can just mechanically limit the regulator so that it doesn't output more than 3 joules. But without that quantification, the laboratories might take just the gun itself, and they could put almost unlimited pressure through it, pop a few rounds off at over 1.3 joules, and again, you've got a Section 5 prohibited weapon. Okay. So that's where in that needs qualification, and we think that the best way to sort that out is really by the Home Office issuing sensible testing guidelines for gas weapons, and which will basically allow you at home to copy those tests and set up your gun to fire like they'll be testing it in the lab.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we'll be establishing like a fixed power. So that'd be pretty big. There's another big problem. You might be thinking, well, this isn't really going to affect me. I don't import. I don't own an HPA gun. I'm just an AEG guy, so stuff everyone else. Well, unfortunately, any firearms which are readily convertible into fully automatic or prohibited weapons they count as prohibited weapons. Basically, they're illegal. So if an AEG firing at more than 1.3 joules is a prohibited weapon, then surely any AEG is readily convertible into a prohibited weapon.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
and
crazy.
Again, that doesn't seem sensible, and surely that's not the intention of the law, but it's something we need worked out. It's something we need on paper. Yes, that is the case, which obviously... They don't intend to crush the airsoft industry. They've just not really looked into it properly, which is quite
it's kind
surprising.
of like a blanket ban, but it doesn't actually look into the complexities of airsoft in the fact that there is so many variations we have over here.
Absolutely. Okay. So we just need them to say, no, if a readily convertible into a firearm means you can make it shoot bullets, basically.
Yeah.
Not you can convert an airsoft gun into a slightly higher power airsoft gun, because, well, of course you can. So we just need that on paper, basically. And if we don't get it now, then we'll basically be living in this grey area for a very long time. Yeah. And I think that, eventually, maybe 2 years, 3 years from now, there's 60,000 airsoft players, according to the government. I just think one of them's going to end up really in the poo. And the only way to save that individual might be me, might be you, Graham, might be one of the listeners. The only way to keep that person safe is to sort this out right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, guys, like Matt says, this is kind of the last thing we can really do. You need to write that letter to your MP. It's not going to take you long. Do we have a template, Matt? Do we have something for people who can kind of get an idea of what they should be sending?
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll put an example of I'll put the letter that I'm going to write to my MP tomorrow up on our website. And just so you can get an idea of what it looks like, I'll give you a template of I'll tell you how to contact your MP and the format of the letter. But basically, what we really need you to do is write from your perspective, not like just talk about the general political situation. I need you to go, well, I'm an HPA owner, and I think the government's about to rule that my gun's a prohibited firearm, and I need you to
Be personable. At the end of the day, they are there to represent you in your location. So yeah, but definitely be personal. Don't be aggressive. Don't threaten them. We've done this before, and it worked before, right, Matt? We've done this.
That's absolutely
a year ago, 18 months ago.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we did this back in August. It was quite a confrontational process. That was. We're writing directly to someone who was outright attacking us, but this time it's a bit more. It's less direct. It's more just stirring the pot, just trying to get some answers that have been promised to us, and basically you've got to remember that your MP isn't anything to do with this, but they are responsible for your well-being as far as government departments are concerned. So it's basically you've got to convince them that this is a real issue and that they need to look into it for you. But they're not your enemy. They're on your side here.
Yeah, you voted them, or the majority of your area voted them in, and they're trying to do the best for you guys. So yeah, definitely write into them. I remember last time, so August, as it was, the support from the community made a massive difference. And it really did help Lord Shrewsbury, if I'm right, was it?
That's right. Yeah. So
with what he'd done.
Yeah. And it took a matter of days between the airsoft players. Airsoft isn't it's not massively well funded in the lobbying department.
No.
It's not even very big compared to like most sports or shooting itself. But we've got massive social media power. We've got passionate people, and we've got massive clout. If people start caring and people start writing in and spreading the message, then a lot of people keep telling me the same phrase: we punch above our weight as airsofters, and we can really make things out. I mean, it genuinely makes a difference. We live in a democratic society, and if we engage with the authorities, with the systems that have been designed this way, we can make a difference. And I know you guys out there can turn this situation around, and we can get a more solid footing for airsoft for the future.
Absolutely, Matt. I couldn't agree more. Guys, come on, if you're supporting Airsoft Nation, you're supporting Airsoft, it's your hobby, it's something you enjoy, you want to go out on the weekends, and you don't want to be locked up at the end of the day, you don't want to be seeing people like Matt locked up just for having an AK or anything like that. Just write this letter. Just do the one thing. It won't take you very long. The guys in the UK lobbying group will help out. All the details will be in the description below. And we've got less than 2 weeks from around about the time from this video goes out, less than 2 weeks to make this action. We need to get some clarity. So support everything that's going on there. Sign up to UKAPU. It's free, or you can donate and you'll get a patch which is on the wall behind the green screen. It's definitely worthwhile doing. And I hope that you guys will just literally give it 10-15 minutes to get this done, and hopefully help save the hobby from something that could really end in disaster for some people. And you definitely don't want to be that person. Perfect. Thank you very much for your time, Matt. I do appreciate that, and well done so far. And hopefully we should get some information from the Home Office soon.
Yeah, definitely. Well, as soon as anything else comes out, we will put it on the Facebook page and we'll share it around. And yeah, thanks very much, Graham, for your time, and thanks for your support from Airsoft Nation.